but I just want to ask you about Mason Mount. It looks like, potentially, that he is agreed terms with Manchester United. A big player for Chelsea. He's won Player of the League twice over the last 3 seasons. He's had his injury problems this season, but they are going to sell him to Manchester United, who are a rival. What do you make of that? Do you think it's a mistake?
Oh, of course it is. Selling him to anyone is a mistake because he's a very, very good player. He does well for the team. He gets you goals from midfield. He gets assists. Okay, he's not been great this season, but Chelsea as a whole has been horrendous. Yeah. So I think, when there was in the 21-22 season, his stats were quite good. 32 games, 11 goals, 10 assists. That's good numbers. So to have that in your team, it's priceless, and to get rid of him we know why they've got to do it, because of the FFP. They've basically got him for nothing.
I think BOEHLY'S a disgrace.
Yeah, but they've got to get rid of him because he's costing them zero. So if they sell him for 70-80 million, that's 80 million net, and that's off their.
But that for me is a disgrace, because what they're doing is downgrading Mason Mount, who's a top player, homegrown player, been at the club since he was 10 years of age, loves the football club, and because this BOEHLY'S come in, spent 600 million on bang average players, they've now got to balance the books, and you're downgrading for a Mudryk who's cost you 70 million and has been garbage. Now, that for me just shows how he's not meant to run a football club. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand homegrown talent. He doesn't understand academy players. He doesn't understand that you've got to come in and, you need them players in your dressing room. And Mason Mount is Chelsea. And they're now having to get rid of him just to balance the books, because he's come in, all guns blazing, and acting like an idiot, spending £600 million.
Yeah, he's came in his 40s NFL. He thought it's the NBA, where you just splash money and get, players and good names and see how it works, and you put him in your team and see how it works. But football in the Premier League is a lot different. You can't just do that. You can't just go spending cash. You need a team that can gel. You need players in the right position who work for your philosophy, your team shape, your tactics. Otherwise, it won't work. And like I said, I think you're absolutely spot on. I don't think he understands the academy. I don't think he understands homegrown talent. I don't think he understands that yet.
All right, let's go to Andy, who's a Chelsea fan. All right, Andy?
Hello, mate.
How are you? How are you feeling about potentially losing Mason Mount, a homegrown player?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get 60, 70 million for him, I'm not necessarily too upset about that. I mean, I feel like there's other players that have come through our academy that are much more untouchable, like Reece James, for example.
Name another one.
I really like Conor Gallagher. I quite rate him.
You're telling me Mason Mount ain't done more than Conor Gallagher in his time at Chelsea? You've got one player out of your homegrown talent who's better than Mason Mount, and that's Reece James.
Levi Colwill. He's been good at Brighton this year.
He's at Brighton. Mason Mount's won Player of the Season at Chelsea twice. You're going to let him go just because you want to bring in Mudryk? You've paid 70 million for him.
Yeah, but there's only one way we're going to balance the books, really, isn't there? And that's going to be...
But how do you feel about that, though, Andy? How do you feel about an owner coming in and getting, casting off your talent that you've brought through an academy, which costs you millions and millions of pounds to produce, and you've brought in someone who's been at a football club since he was 10 years of age, and you got to get rid of him now because BOEHLY'S come in splashing the cash, and now you've got to balance the books?
Is that he's had months and months now to get a contract deal signed, and he's not done it, so he's clearly not that interested in staying.
No, he wants to be appreciated and valued as a player who's been a huge player for the football club, and BOEHLY ain't giving him that. So in the end, he's got to go, well, why would I stay here when you're bringing in all these players? You obviously don't value me as a player. He don't care about the academy. He don't know about Chelsea's academy. He don't know Mason Mount's story. BOEHLY don't care. He wants to come in, spend a load of money, and he's ballsed it up. Now he's got to balance the books.
It didn't take that long for Reece James to turn around and sign his new deal. So,
I think there's two sides to the story. He's offered a deal. If I don't want to take it, then Chelsea's hands are tied behind the back.
What are they offering him though?
They've got to get rid of him and get in that money again to offset the books. And it's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's just the way he is. I'm sure they would like to keep him, but if he's not agreeing terms, then they've got to do what's right for the club. And if they do get 80, 70 million for him, they may well go out in Europe and find, a little hidden gem, attacking midfielder in France. There's loads of little players in Spain, in Germany. It's possible.
What's the point in having an academy then? Chelsea have got one of the best academies in the world. They get young talent. Look at the players that they produce, and now you've got an owner who's come in.
Yeah, they can still
and
can bring him on.
I'll tell you what, we can get 60, 70 million net if we sell one of them. Brilliant. All right, let's get rid of them, and we can spend 600 million on bang average talent from all over Europe, and then you're ruining the talent that you've got sat on your doorstep, not giving them the opportunity. That I think he's a disgrace.
It's a big miss. It's a big miss, and I think. I'm sure Chelsea fans and Chelsea FC would like to keep him, but in the big grand scheme of things, if they do get a good fee for him, I don't think it's that bad of a deal. Personally,
it's a great deal for Manchester United.
Zero loyalty in football.
Well, it seems that way with Todd Boehly. Let's go to Alfie, who's a Man United fan. All right, Alfie?
How are you, buddy? You all right?
I'm good, mate. Look, it looks like you're potentially getting Mason Mount at the football club. He's not been great this season. He's had his moments, but he's been a top player, international football star, and it looks like Man United are going to get him. You happy about it?
I must say, I was a bit surprised when I started hearing rumours that he might be on the way to the Theatre of Dreams. But to be honest with you, mate, he's a quality player. He's got ability. Maybe this year he's not been the best, but any kind of football fan will be able to tell you if they're giving you an honest review of a player. He's got ability and he's got some serious potential, and we've seen what he's capable of when Chelsea won the Champions League. Plus.
Yeah, Alfie, where would you see, if he does come, and if the rumours are true and it happens, he puts pen to paper, where would you see his best position? Whose place would he take in the team? Where would you like to see him yourself?
So from what I gather and from what I'm hearing through the grapevine, is that Ten Hag's wanting to play with two number 8s next to Casemiro. And I think that's going to be Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes. And if he's trying to go back to that kind of Ajax way of playing, then I can see that it absolutely makes sense. But my concern with this kind of signing, and I don't know if you fellas would agree with this, I think if you've got Casemiro doing that enforcer role, I don't think you can necessarily rely on a 30, 31-year-old to do that week in, week out without somebody replacing him.
You think you might be a little bit exposed to him playing there on his own?
Well, no, absolutely. But I also think if we're going to spend this, presumably, what are they saying it's going to cost? 50, 60 million on Mason Mount?
Yeah, well, we don't know the absolute price tag, but yeah, I reckon it'll be around that figure.
Around about there, right? So my question is, if we're going to spend a huge amount of money on Mason Mount, and presumably we're looking to get a striker, a backup goalkeeper, where's the Moises Caicedo or the Yuri Tielemans or the Rabiot in the midfield to give that Casemiro a bit of support? I can understand Ten Hag wants to play 2 8s, but I think you need to enforce in that kind of.
We could get Tielemans as well, by the way. He's left on a free at Leicester. Would you want him?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's a fantastic player. I think there's loads of players at the moment who are available on a free that need to be snapped up by big clubs, and I think if they're doing smart business, then they'll absolutely do that.
Yeah, look. There's also talk of potentially getting a star striker in. That, for me, is where you absolutely have to improve, right?
Certainly. I think, obviously, everything that happened with Ronaldo last season, you can't even mention Wout Weghorst and Cristiano Ronaldo in the same breath. In my opinion, it's ridiculous, and it was a panic buy. It was a panic signing. The same with Sabitzer. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're both professional players. Let's not forget the standard that these athletes are at. However, when you take Cristiano Ronaldo out of the squad and replace him with Wout Weghorst, there's a serious issue there. And for a club like Man United, you have to have quality players at the very, very highest level.
Yeah, Alfie, obviously you mentioned Ronaldo there, and there's another absolute megastar linked with Man United. He's came out and said that he doesn't want to leave PSG, and if he does, he only wants to go to Manchester United, and that's Neymar. Would you have him?
I would, and I'll tell you for why. I know from what I've heard, probably a year ago, that it's been Neymar's dream, or his father's dream as well, for him to play for Manchester United. So I truly believe that the motive behind a move like that for Neymar would be because of the passion and the competitiveness in England. And I know there's this kind of idea that this kind of flary trickster is going to come to England and get absolutely snapped by a Tarkovsky or some big centre half. But let's not be silly about this. The man is an extremely, extremely talented footballer.
Yeah, he's unreal.
He's done this at the highest level for years, nearly a decade now.
Yeah.
Let's not fool around. He's more than capable of coming to the Premier League if he wants to.
Alfie, you've got some great insight, great resources by the sounds of it. Do you want to be talkSPORT's correspondent for Europe? Sorry, Kev, I tried, but he knows Neymar's father here. He's he knows it all.
Alfie knows what he's talking about.
Alfie, talkSPORT's correspondent. Alfie, with you.
Yeah, Alfie, brilliant call, mate. Thanks for phoning in.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.